Okay, hello. I wanted to make a video about Inside Out, the Pixar film from, I guess, 2015. I don't know if it's the only one. Yeah, I thought it was amazing. A very, very, very good movie. Directed by Pete Docter, who did Monsters Inc. I think he did Monsters University as well, which I think was also a very good movie. I was worried sometimes I see ratings of movies on the Internet Movie Database, IMDb, and then I think, I don't know if it'll be good. They're not consistent, especially early on. But Pixar's so consistent. I mean, I remember when Monsters Inc. was about to come out, and I was like, this movie is going to be awesome, just based on it being Pixar. At that point, they'd only made Toy Story, A Bug's Life, and then Toy Story 2. And already, like, it was so consistent. When they made Toy Story 2, I was like, I don't know, really? It's a sequel already, just cashing in? But it was a very good movie. So anyway, they've been so consistent. I think Cars and Cars 2 are the only ones that I've got to see Cars again. I haven't seen it in a long time. Anyway, so Inside Out, I think it's perhaps one of the most mature and deep and insightful movies. But that's saying a lot. Pixar's very famous for that sort of thing. And I've got to say, I've only seen it once. I've only seen other movies like Ratatouille, Up, Wall-E. Maybe I saw that twice, but most of them I've only seen once. Okay, well, let's start with some obvious things. I think it's fantastic. I would give it a 10 out of 10 easily, just because I think it's a masterpiece, and it's a deeply moving movie, and it's very entertaining and funny, and like I said, insightful. Obvious things about it, the visuals are really good, the animation is incredible, to the point it's the same as like great film music where you don't notice it when it's really good, or if someone's a really good actor or comedian or whatever skill it might be, they make it look easy, they make it look effortless, and Pixar is extremely good at that. I mean, Toy Story was made however many years ago, what year is it? Yeah, 20 years ago, and it holds up. It looks awesome, and it holds up well. Like, some of it you can tell, any human faces and things like the dog, don't look as good now, but in terms of just and the quality of the animation itself, the comedic timing, I've always liked animation, going back to like Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. I think I might have mentioned this another time. Pinocchio, I didn't realize it was made in 1940. I thought it was as recent as like Aladdin and stuff, but it's from years and years ago. So yeah, just I think animation, you have these people that are really skilled. I've seen some pictures on the internet of animators pulling faces and then sort of using that as a reference point to draw, and it's really incredible, the extremes of faces they pull. And something I think I should say with good animation, it's an exaggeration of real human expressions, or even not even has to be human. I think that's too specific, just emotions and feelings and things that happen. It allows you to exaggerate them, and then to me it's like with movies, drama might be my least favorite genre, because to me drama just means it's boring, nothing happens. You can have very good drama movies, but I much prefer like science fiction and fantasy, because to me, if you have an action sci-fi movie, an epic, like Star Wars or Harry Potter or something, you can have the elements, action and fun and excitement, and you can also have an incredible story and characters and, really insightful ideas and stuff. Richard Wagner, the composer, seemed to have this vision of an ultimate art form where you combine music and drama and story, I guess acting, in operas, but I guess the equivalent would be movies. To me, it sort of is this ultimate art form. And I've heard, I'm going off track, but some people, I think Philip Glass, the composer, might have said one time he didn't like movies, he didn't want to watch movies, and I just think it's kind of lame. And a few other directors where, what's the guy, Dogville, I forget the director, Lars von Trier or something, where they do something minimalist, and I think that's okay. Sometimes that can be really interesting and creative, but I think it's a misconception that just because a movie has explosions or color or comedy, that makes it worse. No, it's a matter of, in my opinion, the more things the better. You just got to know how to combine them in a meaningful way, how to use music. So if you're going to use popular music, you got to make clever choices that are the right sort of thing. Okay, let's try to get back to the movie. So I think animation is incredible, better than people realize. The music's really nice. I'll try to hum it a bit. I think, yeah, I'm guessing it's Michael Giacchino, I can't remember. But the really nice da 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 da, something like that. And then there's sort of that theme itself is it gets played a bunch of times. Again, I've only seen it once, but I remember there's more upbeat versions of it. There's more, maybe like a solo piano version of it. And I feel like it's a really nice tune. It sort of represents the innocence, but the hopefulness of like when you're a little baby or a child and you're just exploring the world for the first time. And it's nice how babies smile, I think, even if they don't know what they're doing. They don't know they even exist as a being yet. But they smile. I mean, their body physically will hold on to something in their hand and stuff. But yeah, nice music, and then there's sort of a sad theme as well. Anyway, just very nice music. Michael Giacchino's written these very nice, like pieces that just instantly can make you cry or just feel something. There are images in the early parts of Up that just really affect you. Anyway, I'm spending too much time on random things. So I guess I really like the concept of Inside Out. A bit like Monsters, Inc., where it takes, the idea that, kids are scared of monsters in their closet. What if the monsters in the closet are scared of the kids? And then it just goes so far. It takes us in that world, and then, there's hilarious references to, like, odorant, and, I don't know, lots of random little details that are funny, and that, like, if a kid's sock touches you, 2319, 2319. It's very funny. But Inside Out is similar. It's just a really clever idea, just to go into the mind, and what if your primary emotions were personified by these little characters, and you've got a central control thing, which is, I guess, like your consciousness. But I think, like, one thing is to not take it obviously literally, and interpret it. I've read some reviews and people seem to say, yeah, okay, it makes this point, which is good, but sadness can also be like this and this, and it's like the movie's not saying it's one way. It's just a tool. It's a method. Once you've got a visualization of something and you've got these little characters, you can then represent lots of complex mental things that go on. Like when you can't make up your mind between something, you can then visualize that as two of the emotions fighting with each other. And I think there's a lot of truth to it, and you can definitely get across ideas that are meaningful in this story. So so one thing would be the fact that sometimes your emotions seem to have a life of their own, or at least your subconscious. And yeah, they sort of have their own energy. I definitely feel like sometimes anger can take over you, but also fear, the same thing. You can be struck by fear, and it's hard to, you try to control your emotions, you try to gel with them. Joy can overcome you, and sometimes that can be embarrassing when you feel really excited and you're going to try to be, alright, stay calm, people are going to start looking at you. And sadness and, I don't know, disgust. It's an interesting choice. I wouldn't have picked disgust, but I guess that is pretty universal. Okay, so yeah, just in terms of that, I think there's lots of funny little details that come up in terms of that world inside the mind. Things like those guys that go around and they're just casually looking at the little orbs. First off, that your memories represent long-term memory. Is all these orbs stored? Again, not to be taken literally, but it often feels like that. You're trying to search for something in your head, you know it's there somewhere, and eventually find it. But just that they're going through, and piano lessons, we'll keep that. you know, this just little references. Algebra from year 7, no, get rid of it. We don't use that. And the idea that the memories fade and kind of go grey, and that they, just for a joke, grab this, what is it? Triple mink, da 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 da. How does it? I don't know. That ad that keeps coming up. I feel like everyone can relate to that. And I just thought it was really kind of a beautiful idea as well, to see that your mind is this complex, amazing world, and we don't necessarily aware of it. We don't need to be. I think there's a lot of truth to that. And seeing Riley then like affected, like she sort of starts humming, just seeing there's this whole world going on inside her mind, feelings, emotions, but also rational processes and things that are happening, memories coming up and then going away. I really liked the ideal boyfriend. I would die for you, right? I would die for Riley. And there's lots a little bit. I guess I'm getting into some of the comedy that's in the movie. When we see the father's thing and he's just watching soccer and he's tuned out of the conversation, and then he sort of notices, oh shit, like a bit like if you're driving, you notice something in the rearview mirror, oh my god, his wife's staring at him, so he has to then re-engage. And what was the last thing that she said? And I think I read, because I can't remember, but I guess he's got anger is in charge, so that's like his primary emotion. And I thought that was an interesting, subtle thing that's actually, if you think about it, it's sort of saying something profound. This father is dominated more by anger. The mother's dominated, I guess, more by her sadder one. Just interestingly implying that their relationship is not completely happy, but they try to be nice, and they're nice people, but it's, I don't know, there could be some profundity to what they're saying there with that marriage. And the girls mainly, Joy is mainly in charge, but then I guess that there's sort of a struggle, and sadness seems to be sort of coming in charge. And again, I think with those characters, it's really just, it's personifying their qualities. So you don't want to take it too literally, because I mean, there are times where Joy ends up sad, and sad can be confusing, but I think if you just accept it intuitively and just go with the basic idea and then see what happens, your emotions have a life of their own, and things happen, then I think it's very engaging and you can get a lot out of it. I think the idea that there's also like a subconscious, or a sort of a prison where you try to put thoughts that you're trying to suppress, you're trying to hold them, and the idea that you need security because they might break out, I think it reminds me of like what Freud said, or I mean, I'm not an expert, but these suppressed sexual desires and just other feelings. I definitely think that happens a lot with people. It is a lot of suppression, a lot of social rules and stuff. That reminds me of there's so many things. It's such an imaginative movie. The world she's got, I think there's a hockey one. I think there's I remember one was the acting silly, and it's activating that part. And I think everyone can relate to that, the acting completely silly. Another thing that's really moving about the movie is it starts from when she's a little baby. So there's those embarrassing moments when she's a little kid and she's running around naked or doing silly things, and people will laugh and realize that's true of everyone. Everyone was like that as a kid, or there's someone that's like that, and it makes the movie very universal and very personal at the same time. We get to see these little family moments that we don't see it in other families. But it connects everyone. It's kind of that thing of, with families, you only see your own family fully, so you're aware of your own dysfunctions but not of other people's, so you sometimes don't judge equally. I think often we see other families, why can't we be like them? They're so perfect, they work, that's because whenever you visit, they clean up and they try to act civilized. You don't see them argue so much, but so you see the worst side of, anyway, it's the same with some other things. We tend to sometimes judge ourselves more harshly. Anyway, Just other little hilarious things while I think of them. At the end of the movie, we see into these different people's minds. Once, I think the movie is very disciplined. It establishes the rule, and we only see inside Riley's mind for at least half an hour or so, maybe longer. And then only then do we see like the father's brain, the mother's brain. And then we sort of visit them every now and then just to see what's maybe going on there. But yeah, seeing the cat, what's inside the cat's mind is hilarious. Just these cats walking around randomly. One of them's on the table bumping all the buttons. The cat just jumps and runs. Forget what's inside the dog's mind, but I think it's funny. Something about getting a sausage. And inside the bus driver's mind, they're all angry, all of them. Nothing else. Just get through this day. Some of the dream sequences are hilarious. I remember these posters. I'm falling. I'm being chased by something, but I don't know what it is or something. I forget. I have an exam tomorrow. All these really common sort of dreams. And just it was very funny how it was like, it's like MGM Studios or something, or Paramount Pictures, like one of those classic Hollywood studios where they make movies and they come up with ideas, and then I really like that idea of the dream converter thing, filter. So they have people acting and saying lines from a script, and Riley's at school and she gets made fun of, or something embarrassing happens. But anyway, and then the thing with the dog, there's two people playing a dog and then they separate. and the fear guy, I think Bill Hader's like just on duty or whatever, and he's watching. He sees a dog split into two halves. It's like, it's both, I think it's fine for kids, like it's not, because there's no blood or anything, it's not made a big deal of, it's just sort of funny. But it's like just a freaking out like image. I just thought that was hilarious, and just the way they explains why our dreams are so weird. Like they sort of have an idea, maybe the acting's not that great, and it's sort of meant to sort of reflect what we've done during the day. Anyway, so just also want to mention the movie reminds me a lot of Inception, which I think there's not many movies made that really try to delve into the human psyche or the human mind. I mean, I'm sure people are going to be like, hello, The Dark Knight. I don't know. Those are movies that come to mind. Like, I'm sure there's movies that get into a person's mind, but not in a direct, sort of abstract way like this. Do I mean abstract? But basically looking head on it. And there's interesting parallels, like in Cobb's mind in Inception. He has the elevator and the levels, and it goes deeper, and there's things he's trying to suppress. And in Riley's mind, there's those places where memories either get lost or they get locked up. And she's not necessarily consciously aware of it. She's not going into it, but it's just still, we get to see it and it's represented. I liked how there was a train of thought, literally. It's just a way to travel around. Maybe I should get into what I think are really the profound heartbreaking parts of the story. I guess it's about change. She's moving her family moves to a new town. One part that really affected me, I don't know how they do it. Something great about Pixar is they have just, an idea, a feeling, a moment, and they don't hide from it. They just dwell on that moment, and a person feels a certain way, and it's just about truth. And there's just a little bit of music, just a piano, just strings, that's it. And they don't turn away from it. Other movies try to have punchlines and this bit, and the audiences, other movies avoid those sort of awkward moments, but they're not awkward, they're the most powerful moments that really affect you. That part where they get to their house and she starts to feel uncomfortable and like she doesn't like it that much, and then there's this joy. You can see joy at the controls being like, come on, gotta think of something. And she like sort of grabs a stick and starts hitting a thing around, and it's like there's that spontaneous moment that's just so beautiful. Because I forget, but maybe the dad's arguing a little bit with the mum or something, and then the mum sort of thinks it triggers her in to go to fun mode, and then the dad gets involved, and they just have this really lovely family sort of fun, spontaneous moment. And Joy's like, yes, got it. And I just think it's a really beautiful idea. It's the child that's trying to bring happiness into the family, and it shouldn't be on the child to do that. It's going to make me cry. There's people, when a family breaks up or there's a divorce or something, I think kids often blame themselves. And you can just sense there's this pressure on Riley. We're seeing mainly her mind, and her mind is so beautiful. She's got these different areas. She's got a nice balance, you see, of these different emotions, whereas you can see the father's already sort of shifted towards anger and the mother's shifted towards sadness. It's implying, and I think there's truth to it, that adults get into more of a set way of thinking, and it doesn't have to be like that, but I think it is a common pattern. But her mind is sort of still open and fresh, and then this change is causing this pressure. She feels, I've got to be joyful, and she's not thinking this, but it's like that's what Joy is trying to do. That's what she's used to. That's who she is. And then it starts struggling, and then, yeah, it's heartbreaking. One by one, her world's collapsing. Like I remember the part, I'm sure everyone can relate, when she sees the railing and thinks about jumping on it, and then thinks, no, I shouldn't do that. And you sort of see like her wacky thing sort of shut down or something, and then she gets near the bottom and then she decides to do it. I often feel like that. Like even recently, someone told me they remembered when I was a kid and seeing me, because I'm 30 now, they remembered when I was 2 playing on stairs, going up and down, and I said, I still want to do that. That's still what I like doing, but I feel embarrassed. I feel, it's weird. People look at me like I'm an idiot. But I still really just enjoy playing and being silly. There's things like alcohol, drinking. I don't like boring conversation. I don't like Instagram. I don't use Instagram, Facebook. I don't like chatting. I like playing and having fun. But anyway, but it's a struggle to try to keep that fun, silly part alive, because there's so much social pressure and different things. Anyway, so yeah, just I guess it's a tough time. Any change for anyone, to adapt to something new and to accept it, and especially moving, and when you're a child. I mean, also as a child, you're going through stages, changes, you're learning new things, taking on new responsibilities. She's not, I like at the end, the impending puberty, sort of, oh my god, puberty, becoming a teenager. That's a big change, but the movies, before that, I think what's beautiful about the movie is, again, how much she's fighting to be joyful, to not give up. She wants to feel happy, but she doesn't. Deep down, she doesn't. It's, for whatever reason, it's just something's missing, something feels different. This sadness is sort of gaining strength. I don't know. Again, I've only seen it once, but and then just that journey, which is really just a long journey for Joy to try desperately to get hold again, and then even Joy herself breaks down and cries. And especially when she tells that happy story at school, and then just sort of suddenly cries without knowing. I think I've definitely had that, where I thought, sometimes you feel confident in a situation and then you do something and then you realize, I can't do this, or I don't feel comfortable, or it's not going the way I wanted, and then that memory can change the way it becomes a sad memory, and then that becomes an inherent part of who she is, one of the moments she'll never forget, which again, it should be taken literally, but that's a very powerful idea, that we're affected by, there are sort of moments that define us, that help us become who we are. Even if, your life's made up of millions or whatever, thousands of different things that happen, that accumulate, there are moments you could pick out as being symbolic of parts of who you are. And then, I don't know, just the movie really affects me, especially towards the end, or after all these parts have collapsed, and she argues a bit with her dad, she argues with a friend or something, and then she's contemplating running away. For me, that's devastating. It's so sad. She's just a kid, and she shouldn't feel so bad. She just feels lonely, and then, ends up, does she steal some money or something? Or I forget. But yeah, leaves the house, and then it's, just that one of those final moments where she comes back and she ends up, what was it? There was a memory where she was happy, and sadness kept bringing up a part, and it was, the idea that she actually lost that game, but her parents decided to sort of because she cried, they treated her special to make her feel better and made her feel loved and valued. And then Joy had forgotten that, and I guess there's this idea of you've got to accept joy and sadness are a part of who you are, and sometimes they're more closely related than people realize. And then that moment where she sort of gives in to how she feels and just cries in front of her parents, it's just how she feels. That's heartbreaking. And then they comfort her, and she just feels a little bit better. I don't know. I feel everyone can relate to that sort of thing. Just wanting someone to be able to cry freely on their shoulders, and just feel a little better. And then that becomes one of her new defining moments, where it's a bit like, I'm just going on a different topic, but I'm deeply moved by the idea because I feel I strongly relate to it. It's something that I've felt was true for a long time. There's saddest moments are sometimes your most alive moments, or freeing moments where you get to, you sort of feel okay again, and there's like a deeper, anyway, so it becomes this sort of mixed sad, happy moment that makes her a deeper person, and then she ends up with this richer palette of, controls, and there's that puberty button, and then she ends up with new worlds. So it's sort of like, in Fight Club, there's this idea of, instead of building yourself up with all these superficial consumerism sort of things, buying stuff, you sort of discover yourself through this sort of self-destruction. I'm going like to another extreme, but it's as if, the character in, I guess, Tyler Durden or whatever, or Edward Norton, talks about reaching rock bottom. I read the book as well. The book seems really good, and then sort of starting from there again. And I think I've seen that cycle a lot of times. Even the universe itself, possibly on sort of a expanding and then crunching, and then another big bang and then crunching sort of cycle. So it's sort of like she hits rock bottom and then ends up redefining who she is and growing. And I definitely feel like a lot of moments in life are sort of like that. You have a moment of sadness, of clarity, and a deeper connection with yourself, or with family, or with the world, with your own emotions or something, and then you grow. Anyway, I just find it a really powerful and insightful movie that you can really think a lot about. I had a very hard time not crying during the movie. I know other people that I've seen it with, or that have seen it, were cried. Like, it's very moving. I laughed a lot. I found some parts really hilarious. I'm not sure what else to say about it. It's, again, that word insightful keeps coming to mind, and imaginative. And of course, Bing Bong is a very moving character. This idea of he sort of sacrifices himself, which is such a sort of cliche. It comes up so often, and I sort of saw it coming like a little earlier, but it's a very profound idea that, you have this thing from when you were a child, an imaginative friend that maybe you've basically forgotten about, but somehow letting go of it, or sort of using him as well, helps you. You could read a lot into it, this magical. I definitely find There are times when I feel really sad and I don't. You need like a placebo effect. You need to just like, I know lemonade is a bit like that for me. If I'm sick, I take lemonade, I sleep, I watch a movie to distract myself. That's what movies are sometimes about, escapism. It's just made up stuff. Images and music and actors, none of it's real, but we get to pretend we're in this world and it somehow engages us and makes us feel alive, gives us energy, and we feel better. So yeah, whatever it takes to get through those darkest or worst feelings so that we can get back into feeling good. I don't know. Anyway, so it's a masterpiece, the way I see it. Yep. I don't know what else to say. So Inside Out, 10 out of 10. I don't know how you could give it less. Anyway, I think Monsters Inc. and Monsters University were also very good. Maybe I'll do some reviews of those. I hope that wasn't too long. And yeah, even just thinking about that moment moves me. And various parts of the movie. Just imagining what else could have happened if she's running away from home. And I'm sure that sort of thing has happened many times. And they don't always get to heal, and get back with their parents. I'm sure there are a lot of people who end up with very fractured minds that you can imagine minds a lot more disturbing, like say the bus drivers who's all angry. I think that's very tame compared to the reality of what some people's minds would be like, where there might not even be any emotions, or there might be much darker emotions that end up taking over because of change and things happening and breaking, and maybe they desperately tried to bring joy back, or whatever. Anyway, alright, I'll leave it there. Hope you enjoyed. Bye.